You heard that right. Spring 2025 season of anime this year has got to be the weakest that a season has to offer. And I'm going to explain why. So, I was honestly hesitant to talk about this because, again, I've already talked about like what shows I'm planning to watch for the spring 2025 season, as you can see here. And at first I was like a little hesitant, and I'd given some of these shows like a good 6, 7 episodes as of late, as like, hey, maybe there's going to be a way for them to push the momentum here and there. But I can honestly say that spring 2025 season is definitely the weakest, and possibly the weakest of all the past spring seasons to come out within the past 5 years. So if you don't know, so what kind of is the trend that goes on with how anime releases work is that a lot of the big, most popular talk about shows to come out would have come out back in the previous season, its winter counterpart. And from winter 2025 season, if you remember what came out last season, we had Soul Leveling Season 2, Sakamoto Days, the second season of Apothecary Diaries, The Hundred Girlfriends, Doctor Stone, even shows that like maybe a lot of people weren't crazy about were on the top as like people need to watch and check this out. Even the Medalist anime, which unironically should be way higher, was in this winter 2025 season lineup. So going into the spring 2025 season, you would think that there would be more momentum carrying the anime momentum. But I can honestly say, looking at what shows is available right now for the spring season, this is easily the weakest showing that anime has to offer right now. And it's super weird. And I had to do a deep dive of the past 5 years of other spring seasons to figure out what came out in 2024 up all the way to 2020. And I gotta say, man, there is a huge night and day difference as to what got released years prior to this. So, if I guess we can do a little recap of what came out from the last 5 seasons of each spring of a given year. So, starting with spring 2024, we have a huge 9 day difference of what came out compared to spring 2025 at the moment. In 2024, that spring, we had the latest season of Demon Slayer, Kaiju number 8, Konosuba season 3, the third season of Slime, Mushoku Tensei season 2, Boku no Hero Academia 7th season, and many other shows. And it's like, again, you had shows here that are like really big, really talked about, shows that I mainly watched quite a lot about, and I personally gave my initial scores on, whether I was crazy about it or I loved it. Spring 2023, you had again another season of Demon Slayer, Oshinoko, um, Hell's Paradise, Tengoku Damakyo, Masho, Doctor Stone, um, Dangers of My Heart season 2, another Konosuba spinoff, etc. Spring 2022, you have Spy Family, Kaguya-sama, Season Hero, Shoot Hero, which I was again super disappointed by, but it was one of the bigger shows to come out that year, including Summertime Render, one of the most underrated shows to come out of this decade so far. Even Shikamori-san, which I wasn't crazy about, but people were talking about it like crazy. And the second season of Komi-san, because Komi-san was big at the time. 2021 of spring, we had Tokyo Avengers, if everyone remembered that show. Again, Boku no Hero Academia 5th season, To Your Eternity, Adrian Nokotoro-san, A6, the Higuro Sora anime, one of the most infamous polarizing shows to come out in recent memory, Vivi, the final season of Fruits Baskets, Odd Taxi, and then to wrap up our little recap to come out spring 2020, we had second season of Kaguya-sama, Tower of God, um, excuse me, um, this show. Sorry, I'm trying to speed run this. Gluttinaire, Fruit Basket season 2, um, the game villainous anime, BNA, Balance Unlimited, etc. So it's interesting that we have a lot of shows that have come out within the past 5 years where there's at least one major show and at least one major mainstream show that people will be talking about and raving about from each of these seasons respectively. And in the spring 2025 season, I don't see anything to worry about right now. Again, you could argue that the final season of Fire Force is currently being talked about, being praised to shit. Even Windbreaker season 2 is going pretty good right now. I do think that if we're talking about what is the best anime to come out of spring 2025 so far, it would be between this show and Fire Force Season 3, even though, again, I haven't watched Fire Force Season 3 because I haven't watched the show in general. But then you have shows like Lazarus, which is like, again, this show should be a slam dunk, but unfortunately, with each new episode that's come out, and I will get into why Lazarus isn't doing super good right now when I finally review the show, it's that it is not really living up to the hype that a lot of people were hoping for, especially when you realize that it's the same director that gave us Cowboy Bebop and Samurai Champloo, for example. Um, and then I guess we're talking about shows that are probably underrated to come out the spring season. We have Witch Watch and Kowloon Generic Romance, two shows that personally are really good, really refreshing, and have the potential to be like a really good anime. But again, then you have the shows that are just so like, how did they even be so high up on top of the list and why they're so bad? From again, the beginning up to the end, which I've already shit on so many times as to why it is probably the worst anime of the year. The second season of Slime 300, which once again I also don't like this show. I'm watching this show honestly out of spite, and again I'm not crazy about this show, but I am watching it away. Same with this show here. And then past this point, you have nothing but weird, degenerate stuff and shows that not a lot of people are talking or raving about. Not even the second season of Haran-san, which I'm pretty sure everyone completely forgot to even came to be. And then the Children's Shunichi, which is one by Doga Kobo Studios. Honestly, at the moment, it's becoming so forgettable, really predictable, that again, when I essentially drop my reviews of all these shows eventually, I'm just gonna kind of blow the lid open, wide open to why some of these shows are either good or just barely really good, you know? And again, as you keep scrolling, there's like nothing really good or exciting to really talk about for this season. So, in a nutshell, if you're wondering too why I haven't posted a lot of anime reviews or anime reactions to shows to come out of the spring season, this is essentially why. There's not a whole lot of like standout amazing shows to talk about. Whereas if you're to go back to last year, there were a ton of shows to talk about from last year. Even ones where maybe I was disappointed by or I wasn't crazy about, I had the pleasure to talk about or want to talk about for whatever reason. And the same applies to previous years that came before it. Because again, I feel like the pattern of what we've seen in the spring seasons is that unless there's like a big mainstream anime to come out, that's what's going to get people raving and talking about anime at the moment. But right now, spring 2025 just feels like a super weak season by far. It's easily the weakest spring season I've seen in a really long time. And I know I could make comparisons with like the winter, fall, and summer seasons per se, and compare other weaker seasons to come out in the past. But if we're again going based off of this topic alone, this is easily the weakest spring season of anime to come out within the past 5 years. And I'm not gonna lie when I say this, but if we're talking about what could be like the again, what could be the worst anime of the year, what could be the best anime of the year, a lot of it might be coming out from this season in general. Because again, there's not a whole lot to really say about this season other than it's a lot of mid shows, a lot of mid, and a lot of like it's okay, it's passing the bar, but not really. So yeah, I wanted to talk about this because it's been bothering me for some time now that there's nothing really exciting to talk about, which is why I've been pivoting to other videos, as you see my from yesterday's video that I just dropped about the Kelly Uchis tier list, or even one where I want to talk about Thunderbolts, because sadly there isn't really nothing exciting or even like stupid to talk about from the spring 2025 season outside of again maybe Lazarus, maybe One Breaker season 2, maybe another reason why The Beginning After the End is one of the worst animes of the year. Like, there's just not a whole lot to talk about right now. But obviously, at the end of the day, I'm going to keep my ears posted, my eyes peeled, and continue watching the shows that's currently airing of the season that I'm currently interested in, and eventually drop my review of these animes once they're fully finished. Or if I can't take it anymore, I might just drop it, just like what I did with some of these other shows. And yeah, that's really about it. I'll see you all the next one. Later.